right, so thank you so much for coming to class this morning. My name is Kristen. This class is called Stretch and Rest. Some of you have taken this class before. I think some of you are new, right? So if you are new to this class, you're going to get a lot of information. If you are familiar with this class, you already know what to expect. So feel free to amplify, shift things around, try something new, skip something altogether, right? If that's a better option for you. So think of this class as a choose your adventure style yoga class, because there's really no one shape that is going to be exactly the same in all of our bodies. So I'm going to give you lots of information, apply it to your body the best that you can. And if you have questions, I'm happy to help you with any of these shapes. You can put them in the chat. You can go to our website and send a message through there. I see our social media as well, so it'll get to me somehow. All right, so from a comfortable seat, it might look different than mine. Take a moment to just rock a little bit left and right. You are comfortable already, no need to move, but do check in and just make sure that your knees are not up in the air. You're not rounded into your lower back and leaning forward. So some things you could do to work against that would be to sit up on a bolster like I am, big bolster. That helps me lower my knees down. That gives me some more space in the hip flexors and just lets this shape be more comfortable for me and my body. So if you don't have a bolster, this could be a blanket, this could be blocks, this could be just any sort of thing that you can build to create a similar shape of support. All right. Sometimes you just need it in the knees instead, right? So move around and see how you can best support yourself. If you have a really hard time sitting up tall, you could be pressed into the back of a chair or up against a wall space that you might have, and it can really just remind you to press your shoulders back, okay? So close your eyes. If that's difficult, focus on the tip of your nose or the space in between your eyebrows. And just take a moment with a big inhale, let your belly expand. And on your exhale, drop your shoulders, let something go. Again, inhale, belly expands. Open mouth, exhale, let the old air out. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Open mouth, exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. This time through your nose, exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Inhale, 4. Pause. Through your nose, exhale, 4. Pause. Inhale, sitting up a little taller. Exhale, relaxing your shoulders. Take some time to practice breathing this way on your own, just a few rounds. Count to yourself if that's helpful. And with your inhale, sit up a little bit taller. And your exhale, relax your shoulders. And gently blink your eyes open. So this is a soft practice. So if you like to keep your eyes closed, you're good at listening, that's a fine option. Try to just keep a soft gaze if possible. And, remember to skip anything that's not going to be the best in your body today. So we'll take a moment and just roll the shoulders up and back. Roll your shoulders up and back. You might feel some things. You might notice things kind of creak around and make some noises. You might not have any of that happening. All right, let's reverse that. So shoulders up and forward. It's kind of an unnatural movement, right? All right, then again, we'll take the shoulders up and back and let them settle. So let's think about the core for a moment. It starts in the pelvic floor. So think of drawing your pelvic floor in and up. This might mean you have to tilt your pelvis a little bit forward. And then from there, you draw your belly button in towards your spine, which often brings our shoulders forward. So think of lifting your rib cage up, pelvic floor is lifted, belly button's in, lifting up from the chest. And as you lift from the chest, it's exaggerated and roll the shoulders back. Palms can be up, palms can be down at any time you're in this seated position, right? So we're going to start moving through our side stretches. I'll go over some hand positions just for this one side, but you can apply this to all the things that we're doing in class today, right? So from a block, which works best for me because I'm up on a bolster, you could pop up to your fingertips. This is great if your wrists don't feel great or you shouldn't have any downward pressure in the bottom of the palm, right? So if that's an option for you, you can have your palm flat. Now, if you go palm flat, just make sure you're not sinking down into the palm there, the bottom edge into the shoulder. You might create a fist. Make sure if you go for that creation of the fist that you have good awareness of what's going on in the wrist as far as stabilizing it. It can get a little wobbly. You don't want to fall and hurt yourself. Okay. There's some other ways you can do this shape. So if I didn't mention it, you've got something that works best for you. Do that instead. All right. So grounding the right hand down. Inhale to bring your left arm up and overhead. So we want to try to isolate, right? Isolate the lower part of the body from the upper part of the body. We're pressing down from the hips. We're reaching up from the core engagement and then taking it over. Not leaning the whole body over, not lifting the knees, lifting up from the core and reaching through the fingertips. Keep drawing your shoulder down as you reach up. So grounding from the right side of the hand. Inhale to reach the left arm up. And on your exhale from your rib cage, see if you can take it a little bit over. One more time, breathe in. Exhale and reach. Stay for your inhale, try to lift your chest up. And on your exhale, bring your left hand down. That can be a lot of blood to move from one side of your body to the other. So take a moment, take more time if you need, and then just adjust for the other side. You might need more height. You might need a different situation altogether. So left hand down, engage your core. Inhale, right arm reaches up and overhead. And it's okay if the elbow's bent. It's okay if you have to have your hand more at heart center and you're working through the rib cage more than extending through the arm, right? Some of us have limitations. It's okay. That doesn't mean you can't participate. So we might sit a little forward in the pelvis, engage up more from the core, lifting up the chest, strong from the left side of the body. Inhale to reach through the right. On your exhale, maybe you take it over a little. Keep pressing down from the hips. Lift from your chest on your inhale. Exhale to reach. All right, just stay here for your inhale and use your exhale to ground down. When you're ready, move with your breath. Inhale, left arm up and overhead. Exhale, left hand grounds. Inhale, right arm up and overhead. Exhale, bring it down. You could stay on either side, multiple breaths. Just use your exhale to bring the hand down and your inhale to reach the arm up. You may want to start moving your neck around a little bit. Cool. Just make sure it feels okay in your body. You might look up or down. So let's take one or two of these more on each side. And you might notice how it gets a little bit easier the more you do these, kind of breaking up that fascia that holds us in place, hardens over time. All right, so come back to your center, balance it out, wiggle it out, whatever you need to do. Then take your hands, we'll go palms up first with the fingers up, and then flip your palms down. And we'll take them either towards the lower back. If we're up on a bolster, that's a great place to place them. I'll just lean to the side to show you. Hands would be placing at the back of the bolster. If you're in a chair, similar sort of thing, or you could hold onto the side of it instead. You want to spiral those elbows back. Maybe they can disappear behind you. It's okay if they can't. From your core, engage, inhale, lift up your chest. It should be a little exaggerated. With your exhale, when you're ready, begin to fold forward. So you could walk your hands out in front of you. As soon as your butt begins to lift up, that's an indication you need some support. You don't want to fall forward. You don't want to lose that connection with your hips grounding. So put something out in front of you. It could be a pillow, could be a block. And same sort of hand options are there. Could be different. If you feel very flexible here, you can lower down to the forearms and maybe you go palms up. Just make sure you're still pressing back into your hips. And check in with your chin. We have a tendency to lead with our chin. So bring it in a little bit. Look down instead. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Where are those shoulders? Slide them back. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. All right, if you can, lower your head down. And take your time to walk your hands back up, lifting up your torso. Okay, so we'll move into our twist. I will always remind you that before we twist, twisting is not for everyone all the time. So if you have a spinal injury, if your lower back is hurting you, if your hips feel a little bit weird, please err on the side of caution when you move through these twists. If anything feels weird as you're moving, your body's telling you something, right? I don't know what your body's telling you, but you know what your body is telling you. So if it's telling you to back off, please listen, especially as we move through these multi-joint repetitive motions, right? Because it does shift our flexibility every time. If you have questions about it, put it in the chat. We'll talk at the end. All right, so we'll take the left hand and put it behind us somewhere. Take the right hand over to the left side somewhere, just not the knee. Don't hang on to your knee. Sit a little forward, engage up from your core. Take a big breath in. And on your exhale, we'll begin to twist and let this twist be led by your left shoulder. So draw your left shoulder back. See how that does not make the hips move if you lead with the left shoulder. And then maybe you look over your left shoulder. And bring both shoulders down and lift up your chest. Core is engaged. You might feel like you're reaching up and pressing down at the same time. Big breath in. Exhale to twist. Pull in from your core. Come back to your center. We'll just pause there for a moment. Wiggle it out if you need to. And then we'll take the right hand behind us. Left hand over to the right leg. Inhale, lift up your chest. Exhale, lead with the right shoulder back first. Maybe your neck follows. It's okay if you have to continue to look forward. You're not losing the twist. So sitting forward, engaging from your core. Notice if you lean a little bit side to side, try to sit up tall instead. Inhales to expand. Exhales to move into that space. Core stays in and come back to your center. All right, so when you're ready, we'll just move with our breath. And this is not a cardio class, right? We're not hyperventilating. So try to make as slow of a breath as you can as you move. Breathing in through a twist and breathing out through a twist, they say, will help to move some things around in the organs, blood flow, oxygen, all that good stuff, right? So you can take it from here. With your inhale, find some space, lengthen up. And on your exhale, twist, leading with your left shoulder, right? Inhale through your center. Exhale to your twist. Inhale through your center. Maybe you're staying a few breaths on each side. Exhale to twist. So keep going at your own pace. Mindful of your core, your shoulders, and your breath. One more time on each side. And come back to your center. All right, we'll take the hands behind us again for our chest lift into our forward fold. So take those elbows, squeeze them in towards each other. It should feel like you're almost pinching your shoulder blades in, but pinching without pain. Inhale, lift up your chest, strong core. On your exhale, hinge forward. And remember, you might need to take something with you. Pull in the core. Press your hips back. Press your chest forwards. Knees down. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. And lower your head down. Take time to walk your hands back to your body. Let your head come up last. Okay, so I'm going to lower down to the floor, but you may need to add a bolster, right? So you do what's best for you. And we'll get into a few leg stretches before we get into our restorative practice. Okay, so we'll start with the right leg out to the right, left foot in towards the right thigh. If you're thinking there's no way this is happening for me, no problem. We'll start at the beginning. Left foot out. Your left leg could even be straight out in front of you and you can twist the torso to the right. There's so many ways to do this. But if you can bend your left knee and bring it out to the side a bit, do that. Place something underneath the knee or the thigh area to help support it so you're not thinking about the tightness here, and then twist the body to the right. And then as you open up, maybe the left foot can slide in a little bit further each time, using that support to help you always. Even if you're flexible, this support can help you. If you're hypermobile, it helps prevent you from going hypermobile in these shapes as well. All right, so left foot into the right thigh. If you can make that connection, actively press them into each other. Take a look at your right foot. Point and flex, point the toes away from you, flex the foot so the toes draw back. Do this multiple times. I have a very chatty cockatiel in the other room today, so I hope it's not bothering you. Take some circles around your ankle. And then in the other direction. And then we'll come back to flexing the foot. So sit up tall. Remember, support yourself where it's needed. It could be under your butt, under your knee, under your ankle. Take your hands to the floor. Twist the torso so it's like you're aiming it at your right foot. With your inhale, lift your chest. Engage your core, and with your exhale, hinge forward. And we're just hinging from the waistline, right? Where the hips fold. We are not rounding into the lower back to fold forward. We're lifting up from the chest and extending to hinge forward. And that can be very difficult to isolate those different parts of the body. So give yourself support so that you can learn how to feel that shape. And over time, you can open up. So we're flexing the foot. Notice if you're leaning to the right side of the hips, balance it down from the hips so that the left side is grounded as well. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Now you could use a strap around the foot here, especially if you needed to continue to sit up tall instead of hinging forward. Lots and lots of options. One more breath here. Find some space, lengthen up. And on your exhale, fold. Lower your head down. And slowly make your way back up. Take your time switching it out on the other side. And you could need totally different support on this side, so be mindful of that. A lot of times hips are uneven, right? Mine usually are. So do not hesitate to pop a little pillow under something. So flex and point your left foot. Point those toes away from you. You might feel the left thigh turn on. Maybe it's a good stretch for you. And then flex the foot. Now my ankle lifts. I've been doing this a long time. If your ankle doesn't lift, don't worry about it. And do not force it. If you had plantar fasciitis, this wouldn't even be an option for you right now. All right, so take a moment to just point, flex, take some circles. And then flex your foot. Sit up tall, sit forward in your pelvis. Keep those hips down. Hands to either side of your left leg. Twist your torso a bit. Use your inhale to lift up. And on your exhale, see if you can just focus on that hinge from the hip joint, from the hip points. You might feel them press back. The hips shift back. The heart lifts up and you hinge forward. You might be feeling like none of that's happening for you. It's okay. If you feel any intense pulling under your left leg, please put something underneath it. That's your body screaming at you for support. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. So check in with those shoulders, slide them back, bring your elbows in. From your core, inhale, find some space. On your exhale, see if you can fold a little further. And then lower your head down. Slowly make your way back up. And you can keep your left leg where it is, bend your right leg out, rock a little left and right. If you got a lot under your seat, pick it up and move it out of the way. Take something out in front of you because we're going to fold forward. So in anticipation of needing support, go ahead and place it there first. So flex the feet, sit forward in your pelvis so your hips feel like they're going back. Hands might be already out in front of you. Inhale to lift up your chest. Exhale, hinge forward. Again, hip points feel like they're pressing back. Core is drawn in, lifting from the chest. This could feel like some work here, right? It is. You're using a lot of muscles to support you. And that might mean that it's a little bit of a stretch forward, because as you reach forward, it recruits that back line of your body that might be very tight. So you have to open up one part of the body first often before you can get to the next part. Deep breath in, slow breath out. Lower your head down. And slowly roll up. See if you can get your head to come up very last. Okay, so into a hip opener, which is not for everyone, right? So if you know you have like some external hip issues, this may not be the best for you. So take your time, start at the beginning, and then move in from there. So we'll start by bringing the feet together, Baddha Konasana, and then we press the toes and the heels in towards each other. If this feels like this is the right shape for you, then you'll take your hands and place them underneath your feet. And when we go to fold forward, it'll be more of a movement where you are extending the chest up and forwards like we've been doing with the elbows in. As you open up over time, heels in more. And remember, you could put anything underneath the knees, especially if that's the part that's really tight. Maybe you're feeling this in the back of the glutes and the lower back, then you really should have some support there. As you're able to open up, heels maybe come all the way in. That's years and years and years of practice. Interlace the fingers underneath the feet or take your hands to your ankles. Inhale to lift up your chest. And on your exhale, use the core, right? You might find a little extra lift there before you hinge forward. Now be super mindful of that inner groin area. You can pull those muscles and it will really affect your next 6 months. So err on the side of caution and support yourself so that doesn't happen to you. If we feel good in this shape, we can take the elbows and press them down towards the calves. We're lengthening up on the inhale. Extending through the torso on the exhale. And then if you like, lower your head down. Slowly roll up, let your head come up last. And be mindful of those legs, those inner thighs. Press into the feet. That turns our thigh muscles on. Hands to the knees to help bring them back together. A little squeeze there. And then extend the legs out in front of you. Our last stretch before we lay down. So rock again a little bit left and right. Remember, something could go under your seat, under your knees. You could use a strap here around the feet if that's best for you. Flexing the feet so the toes are up. If you walk with your feet out, you might have to take your hands to your thighs and like manipulate an internal rotation. It's all good. Take a deep breath in, hands to the floor. With your exhale, hinge forward. Hip bones, hip points pressing in and back. Core is in and we're reaching the chest forwards. Where's your chin? You might be leading with it. Point it in. Point it in. Press it in. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Lower your head down. We're not here for too long. And slowly roll up. All right, so setting up for our restorative. If you're new to restorative, it's important to know that if you were to take this class in a studio, we would be holding a lot of these shapes a lot longer. This is a 45-minute abbreviated class, so we don't stay as long in some of these shapes. However, if your schedule allows it, you're welcome to stay in these restorative shapes for upwards of 15 minutes on each side, right? So we're going to start with a supported back bend or a supported chest opener, whatever words there feel better in your body. So I like to do a little incline here as an option for those of us that maybe are having some allergies, respiratory issues, maybe some lower back issues. Giving yourself a bit of an incline here takes pressure off of those certain parts of the body to make the rest of the shape more comfortable. Also gives you less of a stretch in the front of the body. So if you have a surgery you're recovering from in the front of your body, in your shoulders, this is going to be much more gentle for you. If you would like to not worry about that and just have the bolster on the ground, fine. You could even put a pillow on top instead. I'm 5'9", so this bolster works great for my height. Sometimes it's a struggle to find support in the right ways with these bolsters. So it's kind of streamlined for me. I'm lucky with this bolster. You may have to use some extra things to support yourself, okay? So don't be afraid to grab an extra blanket or pillows if you need to. It's so much better to do that than sit there and struggle to be comfortable and wait for the next shape, right? Don't wait, just go get what you need. All right, so lower back when you're ready. And this is pretty simple, right? We're just going to lay back. And then our body's going to tell us what we need. So if you feel like there's too much of a stretch going on in your lower back, put a little towel, like a little kitchen towel rolled up underneath your tailbone or underneath that curve in your spine. could be all that you need. You may need to put something like I'm showing underneath the knees. That could be a block. I have a foam roller set out today specifically to show you that if you have one of these, I know a lot of us do, this is a really nice option. That natural curve of our knees works really well with the circular shape of a foam roller. So your foam roller might not be exactly like mine, but it's a really nice little thing to just pop into your practice to help underneath the knees. If we have lower back issues, hamstring issues, something under the knees is going to be really comfortable for you here. So maybe your arms are down by your sides, but you feel too much stretch in the front of your body. Then you might take a block or a pillow and just put it underneath your arms to help lift that part of your body so now it can soften. Okay, so lots of options. There are more options available to you than that, but I don't need to go over every single one. We'd be here forever. So when you're ready, close your eyes. And then just begin to think about your body, not the external part, the internal part. So you want to think of maybe traveling through the body and seeing where you can get these places to relax. You could start with your areas that you need to work on, or you could start from the top of the head. Think of relaxing the space between your eyebrows, relaxing your jaw, the throat. You might need to tuck your chin or add a pillow. And then check in with your shoulders. Soften the right shoulder, your left shoulder. And then see if both shoulders could be heavier together. And you can let go of any core engagement, any engagement in the glutes. Maybe you're flexing your feet or pointing your toes by accident. It's just an involuntary response. But we take time to float through the body to notice these places so that we can just remind them that it's okay to relax. And that can translate outside of this class with practice. So there'll be some silence now, and I'll let you know when it's time to move. And take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. And before you begin to move out of this shape, take your hands across your body and close your shoulders. Turn your big toes in towards each other. Close your hips. And when you're ready, take your time to push yourself up. Whichever way is best for you is what you should do. Okay, so we'll move into a side stretch. We'll take both knees to the right. If you sleep with a pillow in between your knees, you will probably like that here as well. And if you don't sleep with a pillow in between your knees, you may still like to have one here. So I will use one just as an example to show you. This creates some space in between the knees that might be touching, or the thighs that might be touching. So that can help make your hips be more comfortable. All right. And then we'll take the bolster up towards us. You may still have the incline. You could still do the shape with a bit of an incline. Right hand down, right side of the body down, and then use something to support your hand, or maybe it's your arm. Okay. So we don't want anything to just be hanging out, right? So if you have the choice, don't let your fingers just hang out in the air. Place your block or your pillow down by your fingertips and let them rest there. Maybe it's a pillow that you need under your head, right? So take time to set yourself up with what you need. Maybe your left hand goes across your body and rests on the floor. Maybe it rests down your left arm or slides down behind you to add a bit of a shoulder opener. Just make sure that your left hand touches the ground behind you, or a block or a pillow behind you, and it's not just hanging out there. You could put your arm overhead and let it rest on the right arm if that feels okay. Just make sure you're not using muscles to keep you in place. Closing your eyes. Go back to that scan of your body. Slow breath in and out, just like in the beginning of class. Use that 4-count practice if that's helpful. Scanning your body, check in with the right thigh, your right glute, your core muscles. And you're welcome to stay here longer. When you're ready to move, place your left hand down, lean a little bit forward, and take your time pushing yourself up. From here, we will take the left hand down to the floor, reach the right arm up for just a bit of a counter stretch. And then we'll turn to the other side and do all of this there. Sometimes I lose the audio when I turn around, but just know we're going to do the same exact thing, okay? So turn the knees over to the left. Maybe a pillow goes back in between the knees, or you try it out for the first time just to see if it's a better option. And then left arm down. Left hand is supported. Bring your head down and find out what's best for you on the right side with your right hand. Maybe the hand goes again behind you, but the fingers, if they don't touch the floor, put a block behind you, and then put your fingers or the top of your hand on the block. Closing your eyes. Deep breath in. And slow breath out. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. When you're ready to move on, place your right hand down in front of you. Lean a little bit into it. Push yourself up. Right hand down to the floor. Left arm up. Nice little counter stretch. Reaching. And then bring your left hand down. All right, so we'll take a supported child's pose today. So from a tabletop, if that's not available to you, that's okay. You can just sit back on your heels. Now, if this doesn't feel available to you, take things and put them underneath your seat. I call it like a little hammock. Adding just a pillow in between your heels and your hips can help this shape be much more comfortable or more accessible. If the issue's in the knees, put a blanket there and really prop it up, roll it up if you need to. And then pull your bolster towards you. Again, you could add a block underneath the bolster so you have that incline, so it's a little bit easier to bring the things to you instead of you down to the floor. Okay, so we won't be here for too long. Just a moment here to stretch out the lower back. Arms down by your sides or in front of you. Just make sure that your shoulders aren't reaching forward. You want the shoulders to be down. Here's a nice place for an airplane pillow because it allows you to place your face in the center. And then you can just look straight down and not have to worry about shifting from the left to the right. And slowly push yourself up. So that's a shape that if that feels comfortable to you, you could be there for a long time, especially if you have the support. We're going to get into a supported twist now that will take us into our Shavasana. So we'll go twist on one side, then the other side, and then we'll settle. So we'll start in a position where we're on our backs. You could put a blanket under your shoulder blades to add a little bit of a lift in your chest. You could put a pillow underneath your head. That's usually my preference. I just like to be comfortable mostly. And then bring the upper body down to the floor, or maybe you're in your bed, right? Or your couch. You could still do this shape. I guess you'd have to have kind of a big couch though, to be honest. So you'll have your bolster out to the right. And then we'll take a moment here to just pick up the hips and slide them over to the left. Slide them over to the left like you're getting ready to enter this twist. And then take your left leg across your body onto your bolster. Ideally, you support the knee to the ankle. If your bolster is not big enough or you're working with blocks instead, if you have two blocks, support the knee and support the ankle. If you only have one thing, then you choose the center line. But maybe your knee is more up in the air, right? Maybe it's the left hip and the hamstrings and the glutes that are super tight. Then you may have to add things to the top of your bolster. And it could be any kind of material, any kind of thing that works best for you that helps to support this part so that that part is also supported. It could be backwards, right? You might like to have your arms out, palms up. If this is you, make sure your left shoulder presses down. If your left shoulder is not touching something, put a little something underneath it to support it. Common theme, right? All right, so look wherever you like and then close your eyes. Soften your face muscles, your jaw. Remove your tongue away from the top of your mouth. And scan your body. Think of those shoulders and those hips relaxing. Check in with your toes and your fingers. Slow breath in. Slower breath out. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Again, stay here longer if your time allows. When you're ready to move on, slowly unwind, bring the left foot down. Pull the right knee up, slide your hips back over, be mindful and go slow, okay? Especially if we have some sensitivity there. And then take your support over to the other side. This is the hardest part of class right here, I think. After all that relaxing, picking up that big bolster and moving it. All right, so when you're ready, kick the hips out to the right, left leg down, right leg across your body. You may need a totally different setup here, right? This is my tight side, so I have less range of motion here. I feel it more in the back of my hip, back of my pelvis. So give yourself extra support where it's needed. If you have a weighted blanket, that could, or little sandbags, you could put them on your hips, your knees, as long as it's not painful. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Take your time rolling back to your center, sliding your hips back into place, and your shoulders, when they are back into place, quote unquote, think of them as in alignment with where your shoulders are. So shoulders and hips similarly in one line. Draw your knees into your chest and just give yourself a little hug, little squeeze, nothing too big, nothing active. Just a little stretch in that lower back. You might rock a little left and right. And for our final shape today, it will be a supported Shavasana. Of course, you can do what you prefer, right? So a bolster underneath the legs, or you could place a bolster underneath the knees all the way down to the heels for a different experience. You could add on to the bolster, similar to how we did our incline earlier at the underneath the torso. You can do that with the legs. So it's more like legs up the bolster. So you get a little bit of an inversion. So there's lots of options. You could go legs up the wall, legs up the furniture. You could be flat on the ground. So there's lots of options. Get yourself settled. And I'll let you know when it's time to move on to our seat to close out practice. If you'd like to stay in Shavasana longer than we have time for today, please do so, and just mute me when I start talking in about a minute. And take a deep breath in. And your slowest breath out. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. Take a little stretch or whatever you like on your way up to your seat. All right, so whatever sort of seat is comfortable for you is perfect. Lift up your chest, roll your shoulders back. We'll come back to engaging the core just a little bit to help us sit up tall. Inhale, let your belly expand. And on your exhale through your nose, let it all out. This could feel forceful. Inhale, belly expands. Through your nose, old air out. Last one, inhale. Exhale. A couple normal rounds of breath here. And so if it is a part of your practice, Anjali Mudra, palms together at the center of your chest. Take a moment to thank yourself for what you are capable of today. Give yourself a compliment for taking time to practice slowing down. And I thank you all so much for joining me and you call this yoga. And as always, namaste.